Got some breaking news, Patriots. The House just passed the One Big Beautiful Bill. While establishment media focuses on feel-good photo ops and toy deliveries, Trump just delivered the largest middle-class tax cut in American history, and the contrast between the two Americas has never been clearer. In one corner, we've got real economic firepower that's changing lives. On the other, empty gestures and camera-ready moments. June's job report just dropped like a bomb, 147,000 new jobs, crushing expectations for the fourth straight month. Every expert who predicted doom is now eating their words. And what you're about to see proves Trump's economy isn't just arriving, it's dominating. The evidence is undeniable, so keep on watching. And you probably think, though, your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift retirement costs and risk onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes and inflation and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control with real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, it's smart. So visit nextnewsgold.com and get your free wealth protection kit and discover how to safeguard your savings. That's nextnewsgold.com. It's your exit from the danger zone. The number's on the screen right there, 877-646-5347. Give Colin a call. Tell him that Gary Franchi said hello. Okay, this just in. I just got this email from the White House right here. History made. The One Big Beautiful Bill is on its way to President Trump's desk. And they state here, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill delivers on the common sense agenda nearly 80 million Americans voted for. Largest middle-class tax cut in history, permanent border security, massive military funding, and restoring fiscal sanity. The pro-growth policies within the historic legislation are going to fuel an economic boom like we've never seen before. President Trump looks forward to signing the One Big Beautiful Bill into law to officially usher in the golden age of America. That is the official statement from the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. And the article, the press release continues, but here is the moment the Speaker Johnson officially signed it. Definitely not as dramatic as when President Trump signs his executive orders. You can hear that Sharpie scratching across the paper. But just as historic, the One Big Beautiful Bill officially signed by Speaker Johnson. Here it is, Scott Turner. One Big Beautiful Bill has passed, locking in the largest tax cut in American history, ushering in America's golden age. Next stop, POTUS desk. Here is the White House tweet. Victory. It is passed and is heading to President Trump's desk. He's already doing the Trump dance as we speak. Here's the moment it passed.
18. On this vote, the yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
Chance of USA breaking out in the House chamber. And here we have us, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, talking about the dog that didn't bark was the tariffs that were going to hurt the economy, but they're not.
CBO score. Well, then let's think about this. You can't have it both ways. The tariff's going to hurt the economy, then we're going to pick up, according to CBO, if you want to take CBO scoring over the 10-year window, we pick up $2.8 trillion in revenue. And what we've seen so far is that tariffs haven't hurt. The dog that didn't bark was the tariffs going to hurt the economy. We're going to hurt the markets. Market had the fastest recovery ever.
The fastest recovery
from
ever.
A 15% decline, and we're at new highs in the market. So I've made my career on listening to the market, not Wall Street economists, so I'm going to stick with what the market's telling me.
Yep, listening to the market signals is what is best. And here we have the First Lady of the United States delivering gifts to kids at the Children's Hospital. This was earlier today.
Look, we have surprises for you. Some gifts for everybody. So everybody gets teddy bear and some blankets. You could take them home or put it in your room. Thank you. It's a little surprise.
A beautiful moment right there with the First Lady. Looks like Stephen Miller's ripping CNN a new one. Let's check in with him.
Just rubber stamp what your wife even just yesterday we saw, whenever a judge rules against this administration, you say they're going rogue. Do you think a judge should just rubber stamp what your White House does? If not, what checks and balances do you think should be in place for this White House?
It is not the job of a district court judge to perform an individual green light or red light on every single policy that the president takes as the head of the executive branch. Just think about the premise baked into your question. Respectfully, Pam, you're saying that when the American people elect a president of the United States of America,
I'm not saying
well, it's the implication, who is the sole head of the executive branch. Well, let me finish. I will answer the question happily. Look, when you have these kinds of lazy assumptions built into questions, it makes it hard to have a constructive dialogue.
What is a lazy assumption? I said you all had to win.
You said is it my expectation?
I'm speaking because now you're putting...
You said, is it my expectation? It's not just you. It's the whole media. Democracy cannot function. In fact, democracy does not exist at all if each action the president takes, foreign policy, diplomatic, military, national security, has to be individually approved by 700 district court judges. That's democracy. But let me tell you about these rogue judges. This is the most litigated issue over the last 10 years. Over the last 10 years, whether or not to deport the foreigners who invaded our country illegally. You want a democracy in this country? When Americans vote, when they cry out and they beg for a president to come and save them from this invasion, and some district court judge in San Francisco or Manhattan tries to shut it down and shield these foreigners from deportation, while the courts did nothing to stop Joe Biden and his administration and his officers, the Mayorkas, from overseeing this invasion.
CNN reporting shows that investigators believe...
Yeah, CNN, nice try. You just got your ass handed to you. And speaking of CNN, here is Tim Burchett on CNN as well, talking about the House Republicans stalling the vote that just passed.
You don't need me.
Is very clear about how many people are going to be kicked off of health care until you were against the CBO.
No, ma'am. You listen. If you want to do the editorial, just go ahead, and you don't need me on here. But the
These
CBO,
are facts, sir. I don't have to editorialize.
Scores. I would like to see what the economic output of every bill. You, as a taxpayer, should want that too. And the CBO is the only organization we have. If I could allow a private accounting firm to do it, I would much rather that happen. But the reality is it would have to be the CBO. And what do you have against knowing how much each bill is spent? Why does the media oppose to that? Why do you all on the left always fight every chance at America knowing what's going on? The problem y'all have with this bill, ma'am, is that it gets government out of our way and lets Americans make some decisions, and maybe hardworking Americans would have a better choice and a better shot at life in this country without you all just telling us how bad things are going and trying to...
Oh, you gotta love it, right? You gotta love it. Kicking butt, CNN, all over the place. What do we have here? United States, here's some more breaking news. CNBC. United States has 147,000 jobs, smashing expectations by tens of thousands. Unemployment at 4.1%, beating expectations.
What your range?
Here's Rick Santilli.
Anything's possible. We'll know shortly. Obviously, it's the big June jobs report. I wouldn't look for this to make an easy more likely. 147,000 jobs. Definitely a bit better than expected, no matter what your range was, whether it was closer to 100 or 115,000. It's a pretty good number. And guess what? If we look at the 2-month revision, it's positive. It's up 16,000. How does 147 stack up? Well, it's pretty odd because it's exactly where we were in April, unless they revise that. To find a higher number than that, well, you're going back to last year. So this is tied for the, second best, tied for the first best number of job creation of the year. Now,
nice. I'll take it. Will you? Will the Democrats accept it? How are they going to spin this? Here we have Job Creators Network CEO Alfredo Ortiz. Hats off to President Trump.
The trade, hats off to President Trump, because this three-legged stool of his has really been powerful. The trade, the taxes, and deregulation together, it's all about jobs, and it's going to bring certainty to a lot of folks who just didn't have that for the past 6 months. Hats off.
And a lot of people have been waiting for some certainty. Here we have CNN even. The jobs market is like the Energizer Bunny. Wow, CNN? Man, they must be biting their tongues in that production office.
It is like the... You expected some of this, but this is better than expected? Yeah, Sarah, it is. Look, this jobs market is like the Energizer Bunny. Every single time we expect it to run out of steam, it just keeps going and going. So these new numbers show that the U.S. economy added 147,000 jobs in June. That was well ahead of the expectation of about 118,000, well ahead of some whispers that we heard on Wall Street of a sub 100,000 number. So this is indeed beating expectations. We were also expecting a slowdown. We did not get that. This is basically in line with May, which was revised higher. It's also good news. The unemployment rate was expected to go up. It didn't. It went down to 4.
It went down. CNN. Oh, they're crying over there. Stephen A. Smith pushing back on James Carville panic that Trump will rig the midterms. What?
You forgotten more. Let me push back a little bit on James with this one point that he's making. You know, you forgotten more politics than I know. So I totally respect your knowledge and where you're coming from, James. Here's the one thing that I would say, however. Let's not underrate the Democrats' ability to mess this up for themselves. Let's take into account Hamdani, who just won the Democratic nomination for the mayor's position in New York City. You've got a guy that's an avowed, renowned Democratic socialist. You've got people like AOC and Bernie Sanders supporting him. When Bill brings up the economy, I mean, it comes from you, James, maybe not that direct quote, but it's the economy, stupid. We've always remembered this, from the 90s with Clinton and what have you. And when you as a party are focusing your attention on that, believing that that is something that can sift through the United States of America and appeal somehow to voters across this country, that's a sad, big-time mistake that the Democrats are absolutely potentially capable of making. I don't think that can be ignored. If what you're saying, James, is true, and the focus is on the economy, and some folks who are left, but center left, maybe a tilt more left, but not far progressive left, you're right. But I don't put it past the Democrats, some members of the Democratic Party, to mess it up for the collective whole. And that is what I think can get in the way without Trump having to resort to anything that you intimated. Let me push back a little bit on James.
Stephen A. Smith's on fire, man. That guy's really coming around, and it's exciting to watch. What else have we got here in the hopper? Just in the U.S. economy, more news on that front from Fox Business.
Well above the estimate. Listen to this, 147,000 jobs on non-farm. That is well above the estimates of 110,000. The unemployment rate went down to 4.1%. The expectation was it was going to tick up to 4.3%. Listen to this, 147.
Oh, man, you got to love it. What else have we got going on in the... That's it for POTUS? Okay, perfect. So what else is here? If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is what real leadership delivers. Patriots. Okay? We got the House passing Trump's one big beautiful bill. The largest middle-class tax cut in American history is now reality. While one side played dress up with the cameras, Trump's team delivered actual results. 4 straight months of beating job expectations, unemployment dropping when they said it would rise, even CNN admitting that their doom predictions were dead wrong. Now, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. That's not just campaign promises. It's now the law. CER Chair Steve Mirren nailed it. Huge incentives for labor, massive investment opportunities, deficit reduction, all in one historic package. Job Creators Network CEO called it the three-legged stool: trade, taxes, and regulation rollbacks. Translation: jobs, 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 and victory. So here's my question. Is this what winning looks like? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's celebrate this historic win with our exclusive merch at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. We've got Alligator Alcatraz, President Otto Penn, and our American Badass series. Show the world you're part of the resistance that's actually winning.